we're going to do some looking at the airplane and the engine and just commenting about some various things. I've got my axle center lines moved forward roughly 1.5 inches. Now I put a little pin through the end of that axle, and that way the bolt's got something to wear on instead of working down into the axle. Not necessary. Now down on this end here, I done the same type of a thing. Now I've got my pulleys down there and I've got keepers on them. A lot of oil and grease sets up in there. It don't make any difference which engine you're running, it collects there. Now my wheels, tires, lower end of the axles, and then I go up. Now on the end of these right here, I have a strap that comes over the end and welded in place. You can kind of see it there on the bottom, because if you don't do that, you can pull those out. You pull those out, you drop a wing and a tire goes out, landing gear, and you end up shortening the prop. Not a good situation. Now, rudder pedals are back roughly about 6 inches from the front up there, and that's not an exact dimension. This airplane is substantially built per plans, not exactly per plans, but close to it. Now, the engine up here, this is the Werner 3V. You might notice I got some foam over the top of the oil tank. I'm trying to get the oil temperatures up as it's cooled down. On a normal day around here right now, I'm only getting to about 130 degrees oil temperature. That's not warm enough. Now I've got 95.4 hours on it right now, and anyway, this whole mounting seems to be working. I've got another mount in the works for the other legal I'm building, and for the DH2 we have a Mikuni carburetor on this, and it's been working quite well. These exhaust flanges, the size of the flange is just perfect for 1.8 0.352, and this is just right for 1.25 inches, like a J-bend. The internal of it fits right in over the top of that tube, and you're good to go. Now I left a starter on it, and I've left it on there, got it on there for a while. I may take it off one of these days again. These are the returns from the rocker arms. Return from the engine, this is a suction. Another return from the rocker arm. And my oil tank has been sitting there. I think on the next one I build, I'm going to try a round oil tank turned with the end into the wind. Anyway, give you a few things to look at there. Now this tank was made out of .032, and I'm not a very good aluminum welder, but I've got a lot of flight time on it and a lot of bouncing on it, and it's starting to form cracks here and there, and I have to patch and repair. I use some JB weld to repair that, as a matter of fact. But something else I've done is my struts. I do not have the struts from front to back, and I do not have those so I can get in and out of here so much easier. Plus, when I'm taking it apart to put it in a trailer, it makes it faster. I have a hinge here. Take this bolt loose, lay that down, and tie it in place with some Velcro clamps, and you're good to go. I have a B-light airspeed indicator. Seems to work pretty good. And anyway, those are some things I wanted to look at. I'm going to go back here to the back. And one of the things, when you come off the rudder pedals, I've got a guide. You got to have something to get your cable kind of headed in the right direction. And then I do not have another guide until I get to here. And then back here, the guides are back here. There's one up high and one down low. And this elevator, you got to have these kind of where the distance between them here is equal to the distance between them there. But more importantly, you've got to have it at an angle so that when you're pulling off of that, it's straight. It's not pulling up at some weird angle. Because one side will work great, the other don't work worth a darn. So that's why I've got this one mounted up here. On the airplane I'm in the process of building, it's going to be welded in place instead of clamped in place. But anyway, we got guides here. And then I've got one more guide here. And that's for the elevator. Now up there, I have used two guides there instead of the pulleys, as Leonard has shown. And on the airplane I'm building, I'm going to have some lightning going on up in that area. Now, one of the other things that I've done is this right here is a stop, and it's just welded onto that piece that goes across there, and it just gives you a spot to stop that at. Now, we've got a couple of guides in there. I've added that hinge because what happens is I don't want to pull that out when I take the airplane apart. So I added that hinge so it would stay together. And over on this side, we got the rest of it over here. Now, one of the things, I have a guide to stop here. That's at 25 degrees. I just welded it in place there. It's lightweight and wanted to keep the weight down. We've got a double set of hinges here and a double set of hinges there. And what I've done is I got one set on the outside and one set on the inside. That way it can't go anywhere. And when I get through, I save the weight of a hinge end, I should say. I've done the same thing here on the elevator, on the rudder. I've got 3 of them on the rudder, and one of the other things you want to do is you want these cables pulling straight on the rudder. You don't want them going to a low or a high spot up there where the guide is. Otherwise, it'll bend these. And my whole tail wheel on this other airplane is going to be different. Anyway, I think I'll call that quits for now, and we'll go from there.